Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. Now, this is a difficult one. I sort of glanced at the headline, I glanced at the first couple of lines, and I immediately went to a single place in my mind. And I'm going to take you there. This, I think, is frightening. I think it's probably illegal. I think the implications of what the SNP are about to try to do are so destructive of families and so destructive of the rights of parents over their own children. I think it borders on crimes against humanity. I think that it is that serious what they are proposing to do. So I'm going to ask you right now, please hit the subscribe button, please hit the like button with this video, because this will be definitely pushed way down in the YouTube algorithm because of the content, because what we're going to be talking about. So absolutely, please hit the subscribe button, please hit the like button right now, because this is a fundamental truth that you need to be aware of, because the implications of what they're about to do, I think, is so dangerous. And I'm just going to cut straight in. I'm not going to go any further here. I'm going to cut straight into the part, and then I'm going to discuss it within looking at the headlines. So here goes. Now, ostensibly, this subject looks like we're talking about the conversion therapy for children, for gay children, for trans children, that sort of thing. And they're looking at banning conversion therapy bans, right? They're trying to put this gloss on it. Oh, we're going to try and stop you doing this. You're not going to take these people to places that will force your children, blah, 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 and all that, right? So what they're doing is they're going up here and they're saying, this is what we're trying to stop happening. And oh, we know it's all terrible. Look at us. Aren't we being virtuous? When you look at what they're actually proposing and you look deeper into this, I think it's fascistic. It is absolutely fascism. And it is the sole aim, I think, of the utter destruction of the family unit, because they know families are stronger than politics. And they've arrived at this. And this is what I said in the last video about how Lorna Slater was stupid, but there's some in the SNP that are evil. And I think this is one of those that is most definitely evil. Because what they're trying to do here is to absolutely decimate families and to remove parental rights from the parents of children. And it is so insidious that I would consider what they're attempting to do to be the sort of thing that you need to go. You'd send them to Nuremberg. If it was the Second World War, you'd send these people to Nuremberg for the trials. It is crimes against humanity, what they're about to do. So the SNP is out of touch with Scots and its own supporters in bringing forward a conversion therapy ban. Believe you me, this has nothing to do with conversion therapy. This is way, way worse. The Scottish Government were forced to delay pushing forward legislation for a ban on conversion therapy amid concerns it could not legislate for it within Holyrood, with it now not being introduced until next year. I'm hoping to God this is another one that is Section 35, and you need to hope to God too. You need to hope and pray that someone in Westminster picks up on this and Section 35s it. Otherwise, you will cease to be parents. You will merely be the people that the state's children live with. They will not be your children. They will belong to the state. The SNP has been found to be out of touch with its own voters and also with the majority. It says majority. Let's put vast majority of Scots when it comes to banning conversion therapy. New polling found that only 5% of the country, as well as 5% of nationalists, felt that this issue was a priority. Asked to select their top 4 priorities on a range of issues in a league table, which included NHS, social housing, social care, the ban on conversion therapy, and so forth. The ban on conversion therapy ranked 16th out of the 16 topics. It is a controversial piece of legislation which could ban the content of prayers and discussions within a family home. And it's getting worse than that. So, well, let's say you are a parent and you have, let's say, a 12-year-old child. For the sake of argument, we'll say it's a boy. You've got a 12-year-old boy who comes to you at 12 and says, "Mum, Dad, I think I'm gay." Now, if you're a good supportive parent, you'll sit and you'll discuss this with your child. You'll say, perhaps, well, if you are gay, then obviously we'll support you. That won't be an issue. However, let us just make sure you are. It could be you're going through puberty, you're very confused. You are learning features and your body's changing. You're getting new emotions of love and attraction. And it may just be that because you are surrounded by boys and you're getting this sexuality and you're finding this attractiveness now, that you're not actually gay. You're just going through a perfectly normal sort of mixed up emotional thing. You're not allowed to say that anymore. Not only are you not allowed to say that, you're not allowed to have that conversation. If you do, you could be prosecuted and imprisoned for having that conversation under these proposals. Because what you're doing is immediately upon hearing him say he's gay, you are immediately giving a denial to that. And that is deemed conversion therapy. And if you don't believe me, check the law. Check what this law is saying. If you hear, for example, "Oh, my grandson says he's gay." Oh, and an old woman says, "Oh, I'll go to church, I'll pray for him to be straight." That old woman can be arrested, tried, and convicted and imprisoned. And you don't believe me? Read the law. If you want to discuss with a child who says they're trans, are you trans or are you gay? It may be that you're not trans. Maybe you're not in the wrong body. Maybe you're just gay. That is an illegal conversation under this law. And what they're trying to basically do is, I think, it's almost like outlawing gay boys just to increase the number of transsexuals. Because nobody is allowed to discuss these issues, even in a loving, caring relationship within a family. You're not allowed to have family conversations about these things. You're not allowed to say maybe you're just confused, because that is a denial of their being gay, and therefore it breaks this. It is, you're trying to convert them. And that is how strict this law is. They are deliberately trying to destroy families, remove parental responsibility. And it gets worse. Critics have claimed that it could also be outside of Hollywood's legislation, following the initial consultation being launched. It has been delayed until next year to iron out some issues. The Christian Institute have claimed it could make it illegal for parents to refuse to consent to their children being prescribed puberty blockers. Now we'll take a second to think about that. A child under 16 needs parental permission for all acts of medical care outside of an emergency care. So you don't need permission. If there's been a car accident, an ambulance driver comes, an ambulance driver can treat a child. If there's massive trauma and it's taken to hospital, the ER can treat a child in a life-saving emergency setting. You do not need parental responsibility for that. For all other matters, every doctor, nurse, medical professional has to legally seek parental permission to treat a child. What this bill does is it makes it illegal for a parent to refuse to consent to medical treatment. Think about that. You as a parent are not to be consulted on the medical treatment of your own child. That's the removal of a parental right. And that will be the thin edge of the wedge, because these things never stop at one thing. Oh, it's just for this, it's just for that. But then it'll be, well, and we'll add this, and then we'll add that, and then we'll add something else. They want to stop you having a discussion with your child as a loving family, and they want to remove the permission, they want to remove the authorization that you have for your child to receive medical care. In other words, you're not allowed to discuss this matter with your child, and your child can go ahead and do what it likes without anyone's advice or permission, when even the SNP themselves, through their laws, have said that, the brain of a child isn't fully developed until it's 25. And yet they're allowing children who could be as young as 8 to take these life-changing medications without permission or possibly even knowledge of the parents. And they're going to make that law, and they're going to push that through. Now, I'm going to suggest that that is a crime against humanity. This will lead to mass, and I mean industrial scale, sterilizations of children, pushed on by a small band of mentally ill activists, the likes of Stonewall, because nobody there seems to have the balls to stand up to them and say, no, this is child abuse of the first water, that you are all sick, degenerate because I can't say that word. And instead of listening to these people and giving them any kind of airtime, we need to be out there and stringing them up lampposts by their balls if they've got them, because these people are so dangerous. They represent a clear and present threat to your children. And the SNP, the biggest bunch of abusers, I think, that have ever managed to get themselves into a position of power, are coming after your children and removing your rights and your freedoms. They're taking away your parental responsibilities, and they're telling you that they can pump your children filled with all this medication, and that you have no say over it whatsoever with this law. I hope you're getting angry. I hope you're realising what is happening to your children. And that is why they are pushing this shit through schools, this shit in nurseries, this shit in libraries. Everywhere children go, they're pushing the agenda all the time. All the time. Everywhere they can. In every piece of literature, advertising, everywhere. They're pushing this agenda, and nobody is standing up, and nobody is saying enough. No, stop. It's time we did. It's time we all stood up and said, go fuck yourselves. And if it takes people getting on the street and getting angry and hauling these fuckers out of their offices and stringing them up and showing people that the children are not theirs. They're to leave the children alone. Let the children be who they are, and let the families be who they are, and tell these fanatics, these gender-driven, child-abusing fanatics that call themselves the SNP, that call themselves the transgender lobby, because they're all in it together, and you look at the Greens and fuck me, are they a bunch? Just look at Chapman. There's one I would have straight into court for the amount of abuse she's, trying to push through. They are all attempting to abuse children on an industrial scale. We are talking the Auschwitz of children. This is literally a holocaust of children that they are proposing. Dear God, get angry about this. please share this video. Please like this video. And please let everybody know what is going on with the SNP. It is so dangerous. Now I'm just going to finish this bit off because I think you need to see what is coming. Commonly understood as a process by which religious groups, families or charities use ineffective and harmful methods, this is their words, to change someone's same-sex attraction, the SNP want to make it illegal to also question anyone's self-identification when it comes to gender, and they mean anyone from a child. While a ban on gay, lesbian or bisexual conversion is popular, some fear the inclusion of trans ignores the reality of those with gender dysphoria, which is so amazingly rare. If you look at the science, it is so amazingly rare. The study into the Tavistock Clinic, which processed hundreds and hundreds of children, found that 97.5% of those children that it sterilised and changed and filled with medications were not gender dysphoric. They were on the autism spectrum. They were grieving. They were depressed. They were gay. And yet now their futures are destroyed by this small, dangerous lobby group of basically child-abusing trans. Anyway, Simon Calvert, Deputy Director of the Christian Institute, welcomed the results of the polling. He said the new poll shows voters ranking a ban in last place. And the only reason it's in last place is there's no way of taking it off the list entirely. If they want to push this through as legislation, let's get them up there. Let's get them up there and tell them what we think. And show the 95% that say if you push this through, you're going to have a revolution. And I literally mean pitchforks and burning forks. Burn Holyrood to the ground if they push this through, because Holyrood does not deserve to exist if they want to do this on an industrial scale to children, because they are no different than the 1940s, the guys in black with the funny little symbols on the arm, because that's who these people are. It is disgusting. And you look at the SNP voters. The SNP voters, that's what they are. Anyone who ticks a box in the SNP box from now on is a child abuser. Not sexual abuse, physical abuse. They are the destroyers of children. They are people who are taking away the futures of children. They're sterilising them. They're destroying their mentalities. Do you know that the suicide rate for these kids is 10 to 15% higher than on average? That's where these people are. They are the destroyers of children and of families. I'm going to stop. I'm going to come up because I need to round up and stop this, but it is absolutely disgusting. I went away, I had a cup of tea, I calmed down. And I've only calmed down enough so that I can ask you with a sane head, with a responsible head, please vote the SNP out. Please reject all this degeneracy. Parents, go to your schools. Tell them you do not accept this, that you do not want this. Tell them if they push this agenda on your children that there will be trouble. Tell them you do not want your children touched, that the family is ahead of everything, and that if anyone forces things onto your children, that you will deal with it in ways that they may not like. We are many. They are few. And we have lots of rope. Thank you for watching. Please, dear God, look after your children. Hit like, hit subscribe, and share this video. Thank you.